second to take your jacket off. Get settled in. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. We now have a quorum. Rock Valley College, District 511, Committee of the Whole meeting, January 14th. Let's have a roll call, please.
Nelson.
Here.
Kennedy, yes. Simpson.
Here.
Trojan.
Here.
We have enough for a quorum.
Okay, there will be no attendance by means other than physical presence. Communication and petitions, any?
No communications and no petitions.
Any visitors to be recognized?
No visitors to be recognized. But
Next.
let's acknowledge that Trustee Gorski has
Trustee
arrived.
Gorski has arrived,
Be a visitor if you don't want me to talk tonight.
And the student
as well as Trustee Nico. Mikos.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
We'll give them 30 seconds to get their coat off.
I only need 15.
Next item is the review of the minutes of December 3rd, Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Any comments? Questions? Hearing none. Any general presentations? Re-up presentation, please.
Yes, we have a re-up presentation, and Dr. Patrick Pryor will be presenting.
Good evening, trustees. Is this working? Okay, very good. I want to take a few minutes to introduce you to a partnership possibility that Rock Valley College has been reviewing for the last several months. The organization is called Re-Up. They are an Illinois-based company. They would support Rock Valley College efforts to re-enroll former students at Rock Valley who have been stopped out for more than 2 years, 4 semesters or more, going back to as far as 20 years or so, to help us re-engage these students and try to help us re-enroll them at Rock Valley to earn their certificate and or their degree. Next slide, please. So generally speaking, one of our strategic goals is certainly to focus on our adult learners in our region. We know that our region has a low completion rate in terms of credentials post-high school, and so we are looking for a partner in this effort to see if we can support in growth and improvement in this area. Re-Up uses, as mentioned in the slides here, predictive analytics to reach out to the students who have left us, again, more than 4 years ago. More than 4 semesters ago. The hardest part for us in trying to reach them over the years is where to find them. Addresses change a lot, phone numbers change a lot, email addresses change a lot, and we have an incredibly difficult time trying to reach these students. We've certainly tried calls, emails, letter campaigns, postcard campaigns. We put information into various publications, and we're generally unsuccessful after we get about 4 semesters past their enrollment period that they stopped out. We did do a little bit of analytics on this, and we know that in the last 9 to 10 years, we've had a little over 6,500 students stop out at Rock Valley that have not returned. When they do return, they tend to return to us within 3 semesters. That's about 72, 73% of those students who do stop out. If they do return, about 1,000 of those 6,000 have returned, and 72, 73% of those tend to return within 3 semesters. The remaining 26, 27% may return slowly over the next 4 to how many semesters. It's complicated, and there's no real efforts that we've found successful on our side in trying to reach these past students that have stopped out for whatever reason. So the goal of partnering with Re-Up would be to employ them to go out and find these individuals, scrub the data, go out and try to find new addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, et cetera, and encourage them to re-enroll. And they would coach them through that process. And they would identify themselves as Re-Up representatives. In doing so, they're not representing themselves as Rock Valley College. They would always represent themselves as a partner working with Rock Valley College. If that student does then re-enroll with the college, the partnership does not cost Rock Valley College funding on the front end of that relationship. But if that student does re-enroll past census date, Re-Up would ask for a portion of that tuition dollar. So it's a unique partnership. We've never, I don't think, been down this type of a path before, but it's certainly something we're looking at to see if it's possible. We have anticipated that we have at least 17,000 former students who have been stopped out for more than 4 semesters going back to as far as 20 years ago in our data systems. Re-up would coach those students to return to Rock Valley College, and again, upon re-enrollment at that time only, would re-up receive a portion of our tuition dollar. Next slide, please. Yes, sir.
And what portion would that be?
Currently, the agreement calls for a 30% of Rock Valley College tuition for that student to be paid to re-up. So I have a slide. In the next slide, I'll show you a breakdown of what that could look like.
All right.
But that currently, no upfront cost to RVC. That would be a 30% of tuition only upon successful re-enrollment. They are a sole source provider of this type of service. Currently, they do have a few regional partners: Oakton College, Triton College, Northern Illinois University, and Chicago State. And right before the holiday break, I was on a Zoom with ICCB and about 25 or so other community colleges across the state of Illinois in a conversation with Re-Up about entering into a more of a consortial agreement across the state. Re-Up has committed to, if that consortium forms at 5 or more schools, they would reduce the rate from 30% to 27%. And that's something we're hopeful that could happen, because it sounds like there's at least that dozen or so schools that are interested in moving forward. Yes, sir.
Is that every semester tuition paid then?
Yes, sir. So if Patrick Pyer left Rock Valley College 4 years ago, Re-Up works with me to bring me back to Rock Valley College. I stay enrolled for 2 semesters to complete a certificate, for example. They would take that percentage of the tuition for each of those 2 semesters.
And we pay as we go, I take it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So what incentive does Re-Up give to the student to come back to school?
I don't know that there's an incentive. There's not a cost incentive to them, but it's helping them to try to complete what they've started. So it's that consistent message of coming back to complete what you've begun at Rock Valley College. They've been working with Triton for, I think it's 3 semesters going on 4. This is, I think, the 4th semester working with Triton. This last fall semester, Triton reported that 252 of their students returned through the Re-Up partnership. And they provided them a list of about 30,000 names, to my understanding.
I think it's more intense coaching.
It is intense coaching. It's working with them, helping them understand the re-enrollment process, helping them with that knowledge of, how to get to that application going again, how to make new connections at the campus. They would work with us to make sure that they're providing the correct information about Rock Valley College and putting them in the hands of the right people.
Mr. Chairman.
John?
How did we hear about the Re-Up program? How did you get introduced to it? And without me having to Google it on the internet, who is behind this?
I believe they reached out to us. I believe they first reached out to Heather Schneider's team, Vice President Schneider's team, was the first outreach, and she included me in a first conversation late last fall as an introduction.
That's how we started, but then they also had a presentation at the Illinois or ICCB President's Council, and that's where Triton President also spoke about it. So that's the reason why the consortium is being considered now across the state of Illinois with community colleges.
Correct.
Pretty powerful across the state, for sure.
Yes, sir.
How long has Re-Up been
I'm not sure.
business or been doing this?
I believe they're less than 10 years.
Okay.
Pardon?
Ask the question again.
How long have the Re-Up been?
Re-Up has been in business, I believe, for a little less than 10 years, 8 or 9 years.
Okay.
They are Illinois-based, to my understanding, and they are working with, last count, I believe I was informed, about 115 colleges and universities across the country. Most of the organizations they do to work with are community colleges.
Okay.
That seems to be the primary, because that's where most of your students would stop out in the same nature that students do. 4-year students certainly do stop out, but not in the same kind of way and stay regionally like community college tend to do.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Gorski.
So you said somebody like Triton had like 250, 252.
Around 250 students returned
So
this
if we
fall.
had that many, how much would that cost us?
Next slide, please.
Yes.
So here's an estimate. I don't know if you have it on your screens in front of you for your packets, whatever, but here's an estimate from Re-Up Education based on the 17 roughly thousand names and their metrics of what they've been successful at returning students to other campuses, that they would anticipate that over the course of a 4 or 5 year agreement, that in year one, getting things rolling, they anticipate somewhere around 180 students they would like to see return to Rock Valley College in the fall of 2025, for example. If they started this project in February, they would work with us and our IR team, get that data transferred to them, the student records from the past, again, 4 semesters, all the way back to 20 years or so, within our Aleutian colleague data set system, what we have available for them to grab. We would give them that information and clean it up for them so they wouldn't, they would only have what they need. They wouldn't get Social Security numbers, for example. That would be eliminated from that data set. Then they anticipate in year 2 as many as 230. There will be a bit of a peak initially because that large number, we wouldn't give them 20,000 new names every year. The biggest chunk of names we would give them would be that first brush, that 17,000 or so in that first year. By year 3, 149 students or so, 130 students in year 4, 100 students in year 5. And we have a guaranteed minimum built into the contract of 40 students per year that we would anticipate that they would have to provide for us to maintain our partnership.
Nico?
And then your data set doesn't include transfer students, correct?
It would include any student that was enrolled at Rock Valley College who stopped out and did not return to Rock Valley College at least 4 semesters and beyond.
Okay.
They would take that same list, though, and scrub it through what's called the National Student Clearinghouse.
Yeah.
And if a student did go somewhere else and complete, they would remove them from the list. But they do that work. We don't do that work.
Okay.
Good, great question.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Paul?
Okay. Okay, recapture tuition revenue. Am I in the?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right side. And then re-up fee, gross profit from partnership.
That would be our gross profit, quote unquote, our realized tuition, potentially over the course
Okay,
of 5
it's
years.
realized tuition, but it doesn't really, you're making it sound like we wouldn't have a need for any of that money. Is just kind of going into our profit bank or you know something like that. We're going to incur expenses for these students just the same as we do for any other student, right? I mean,
That is correct.
So I mean, per student now, what's our profit margin? I mean, because it's not really.
Profit's probably the wrong phrasing.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with it.
Yes.
Realized tuition.
Realized tuition that
Yeah.
we would likely not have seen on our own efforts.
Right,
Is that a better phrasing?
Now, because we're bringing this in, is there any other revenue that's tied to like increase in tuition that we're going to likely see an increase of any other money coming in or anything? And also, will any of these people be eligible for any of the scholarships that we have out there?
The students, the partnership would not include fees. So
Okay.
whatever fees that would be normally generated would be additional
Okay,
coming into the college to cover those costs.
Okay.
Fees would stay with us 100%.
okay.
I do believe that students would be eligible to apply for scholarships if they're re-enrolled at Rock Valley College and are meeting the requirements of the
Of the
foundation scholarships. They
right.
could certainly reapply or apply for those at the right time.
Okay, very good.
So look at your math. If I understand it right, a student comes in through re-up, and we charge him or her the standard tuition.
Yes, sir.
Dollars.
Yes, sir.
From that, we give 30% to re-up.
Correct.
So how do you make a profit from that? You're really not making a profit from it at all. Because you're going to charge 130, but you're going to give 39 over here, so it means it's costing us 130 minus 39, right?
I don't know that, again, profit is really the right phrasing.
not.
It's returning students to enrollment status,
Yeah.
helping them complete their academic goals, hopefully certificates or degrees.
Right.
And it's revenue that we would not likely see if not for the
I
partnership.
understand. John?
Well, Bob, isn't that the old, how do you make a profit? Volume, sir, volume.
Yeah. Cover your costs, yeah. Nickel?
And then the people you're trying to reach are probably older than 24.
I would anticipate, yes.
So,
The population
okay.
is probably 25 and older.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
On the other hand, I think these kind of off-the-wall, if you will, programs are necessary because as recently as last week, I saw a report funneled through from ICTA that referenced an analysis by some other firm that in the next 15 years, the number of 18-year-olds is going to drop 15%, causing primarily because of the 2007, 2008 financial crisis. At the same time, of course, we're still going to be awaiting the effect of COVID, because I'm sure there was a decrease in birth rates there too. So I think these kind of programs that are going after the, if you will, older, non-traditional students are very important for us.
Yes, sir, I would agree that the 25 to 45, 55-year-old population is where the growth is.
Right.
It is not within that 5 to 18 or 20-year-old.
Yep.
And keep in mind that students recruit students. So the more students that we can have come on campus and have a positive experience and complete, the more likely they are to recruit others or inspire their kids and neighbors and others to attend RVC as well. So we're not even talking about the residual impact of students completing as well. So that will help, especially with this population.
That's true.
Yes, sir.
Paul?
Thank you. So I'm just going to round the number, but let's just say we had, and let's not consider the re-up, let's just say we had the number of students that generated $500,000 worth of tuition. And for whatever reason, we decided to give them a discount on their tuition that amounted in an amount of $150,000. Where would the money, we based our tuition on certain costs and the like that. If we did that as a board, just said, hey, you've got this, we're going to go from 500 and then we're going to chop it and save these people $150,000, where would we come up with that money? Because essentially it's the same thing. We're going to have to, we have costs that we're going to have to make up, for this. I mean,
We have to provide the services, right?
yeah.
Correct. I would think one potential response to that could be that we're going to offer all of the courses that we would generally offer in a fall of 25, for example, and if we brought in 183 new students on about 5,500 students and 900 sections of courses, we're probably not adding sections or instructors or new courses just to accommodate the new 180. They're going to take up an open seat here and an open seat there. So I don't know that it's going to add a ton
They're
of
filling
cost.
vacancies. They're filling vacancies.
Yeah, ideally, I think we're filling a seat that's got 40 seats in a Psychology 170 course has 35 students in it. There's a good chance that one of these students coming in might just take that 36th seat. And not necessarily, we're not looking to add more courses or instructors.
And that's one area, but including wraparound services as well.
Correct.
Okay.
That'll be the key. Nickel?
Would you require them to be full-time, or would it just be kind of like whatever they see fit?
It would be
essentially?
whatever meets their academic goals.
Okay,
Part-time is totally, and most of these students probably were enrolled at their first time around at a part-time class, because the majority of our students at Rock Valley over the years have been part-time.
All right, thank you.
Great questions. Keep them coming.
Yeah, take profit out of your next slide.
Very good.
You're done with the slides, I think.
All right, I believe that's it. Thank
Is
you.
that it? Thank you very much for your questions. I really do appreciate them. They're very
I
helpful.
think it's, like I said, this and other programs to address the above 18-year-olds, I think is very important going forward.
Okay, thank you so much.
Next item is teaching and learning. Trustee Simpson.
I'm going to turn it over to Heather.
Thank you, and good evening, trustees.
Good evening.
As you probably know, this is the first full week of our spring semester, so we're excited to report that we're in really good shape regarding enrollment. As of this morning, we're actually 12% above the budget goal and 6% above the stretch goal.
For spring.
So that's good shape. Now, we do have schedule adjustment periods still happening this week where students can add and drop classes. We still have enrollment verification that happens in the next couple weeks where faculty can drop students who are not participating in attending classes. Likely they were not intending to do so, so that helps them as well. So I expect enrollment overall to go down, but I do feel that we can be confident in the budget goal. We'll keep an eye on the stretch goal as well. And then after that period, after we have our traditional 16-week enrollments solidified on the census date, we'll continue to enroll late start classes as well. But overall, good shape for this point in time.
So two things. Number one, I would think an immediate target for re-up would be the fall-spring chasm that we always see. We always see a drop in the spring enrollment compared to fall enrollment. So what happens to those students? That should be a good target area, right?
We will focus on the current withdrawals or stop-out students, re-up, regardless if it's spring or fall, 4 semesters out, we'll focus on them.
Okay.
Because the current students are more likely to come back.
Good.
So we
Good
want
point.
to do that and absorb that
Okay,
responsibility.
good. Thank you. Paul?
Yeah, I kind of assumed that this is kind of like using a debt collection agency. You're going to go after people that are still, you're in touch with in terms of classes and keep getting them enrolled and stuff. But for folks that go back a ways and you got 4 semester period and stuff, you're going to go off on these folks to get a percentage of the take, not unlike a debt collector that would go in after bad debts and then get a percentage of it, which is not an unusual model, so it's kind of cool. So.
Yeah, and we have other initiatives to address current stop-out, like Caring Campus and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Secondly is, since we're going to be putting more, as time goes on, more emphasis on presumably non-credit hour, enrollment, should we not start having a tracking that shows our non-credit hours, dollars or whatever, some measurement of that contingent? Because it could be that,
Yeah, I think that's in our plans for this next year. I know Dr. Stewart's already working on tracking some non-credit metrics, but we need to, like you say, find a time to be able to, a way to look at that on an ongoing basis that makes sense for us.
Just like
correct?
we do every month, every quarter. And this way we can see all of it, not just the credit hours, but all of it. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank
Okay,
you.
next, go ahead, next item. Academic calendar.
Good evening. So as you can see, I am bringing for your consideration tonight the academic calendar for the year of 2026-2027. So just as a little background, members of faculty and administrators of the college comprise the Academic Council. Each year, the Academic Council works together to establish the academic calendar for the next year that's in a row. There are many considerations that must be accounted for, including the lengths of the semesters, the effects that holidays may have on the number of classes in each semester, and different and specific strategic enrollment periods that occur throughout each semester. We began drafting the 2026-2027 academic calendar at our September Academic Council meeting and made some changes and then finalized it in November. I'm very pleased to bring to you tonight for your consideration the calendar, and I will be asking for your approval at the January board meeting.
So the process is the same as what we did last year and the year before.
That is correct.
So these are the numbers, these are the dates. Okay. Nicole?
Is there any significant changes or just pretty much 1 or 2 dates different? Yeah.
There are no significant changes. It's funny because you think after you do it for a while that it's
Yeah.
kind of just like the same thing, but we continually to talk about when's the best time to have spring break or winter break, things like that, and then we talk about, do we have enough of a break in between semesters to allow for a winterim? What does summer look like? So I think the major differences would be just the start date for the beginning of the semester, or the beginning of the year.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Are any of the calendar events already baked into bargaining unit agreements?
Yes, in fact, something that we always have to account for would be our professional development days. And in the bargaining agreement for faculty, for instance, there are 3 professional development days every year. So we have to make sure that we are hosting them and continually also discussing what's the right time to offer those professional development
Are
days.
those the only days that are baked in the agreement? The holiday schedules and stuff are?
Holidays, campus closures, those things
Yes,
have to be
thank you.
considered between the CBAs as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item?
Grades due by 11:59 Sunday night. Well, you might have it earlier than that, you know, so.
You'll be surprised.
We're very specific.
Good evening, trustees. I want to briefly highlight some of the RVC's achievements in addressing ADA compliance and enhancing support for people with disabilities. We can go to the next slide. So one of the things I wanted to highlight is how we enhanced our demonstration of our commitment to accessibility by adding accessibility to the strategic plan under pillar number 4, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and also under that strategic goal number 1 under that pillar. Next slide. If you remember, we adopted an equity plan in accordance to state law that we submitted to ICCB in May of last year. In that plan, we have an RVC vision for student equity, and within that vision statement, we also included measuring outcomes for students with disability. Some of the highlights I want to note, it started with, in 2021, we hired a consultant to form a task force to create a digital accessibility roadmap. And it was this roadmap that led to these enhanced focus and investments in support for people with disabilities. We created an ADA compliance officer position. As you know, we adopted a board policy to strengthen our commitment to ADA compliance. We established an ADA compliance commission, and we revised our self-evaluation, and we are currently working on the revision to our transition plan for ADA. Next slide. We formalized ADA requests for accommodations for students, for staff and employees, and we're working on finalizing a process for visitors so that they can, in advance, request accommodations, and we can meet those accommodation requests. We're also working with our plant operations management on enhancing our emergency management plan to accommodate people with disabilities. And we are also working on a protocol or procedure to help people with disabilities who are physically challenged when the elevators are down. And we're trying to put a contingency plan in place so that they can have mobility up and down the stairs. Next slide. Wanted to highlight some of our achievements or the impact that our efforts are having. One of the impact or achievements is that we improved our digital accessibility on the website and social media by increasing our web content accessibility guideline score from a low of 60 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, to a score of 89.2. So we're almost at 100% in meeting our digital accessibility on our website and on our social media outlets. Students who request services from the Disability Student Services Office continue to have success outcomes that are either on par or above average when compared to other RVC students. and students with disabilities reported an overwhelmingly positive experience on campus based on the results of our 2024 Viewfinder Campus Climate Survey results. Next slide. I want to conclude by recognizing some of the people who are responsible for this work. I first want to recognize President Howard Spearman for his steadfast commitment to enhancing our support for people with disabilities. In the audience today, we have Lynn Sheddick. She is the Director of Student Services, and we also have Eric Brown, ADA Compliance Coordinator, and all the other members of the ADA Compliance Commission for their wisdom and support in helping us understand how to enhance our accessibility for people with disabilities. Also, I want to recognize Dr. Terica Huntley and the HR staff, Dr. Lavinas Muhammad, our Dean of Students, Jennifer Thompson, Executive Director of Marketing and Communications, and her staff, and all the other RVC stakeholders who contribute to creating an equitable, inclusive, and accessible campus for people with disabilities. And that concludes my presentation. I am ready to take your questions.
Yes, sir, Nickel.
So you said you're going to have like an ADA request for accommodations for visitors and whatnot. So is that going to be posted on the website, or is it also going to be posted like on the telephone or
On the website? But most importantly, when we have marketing materials, we are developing procedures where you would have to add a contact person if a person needs has a request for accessibility needs.
Okay.
And then it will go to that person, and we're going to train them on how to proactively give them that accommodation. If they don't know how to meet that accommodation, then they will contact Eric Brown, and he will work with them to get that accommodation met.
And what would your procedure, one more question also, what would your procedure be on elevators if they're inoperable?
I think I'm gonna need to phone a friend. I think Eric Brown, you know, let me, because he has a disability, can we have a mic? Yeah.
So I can address the question on elevators. So we're working with folks at the police department and in Palm. Right now, if an elevator goes down, there's signage that is put on the elevator to instruct a student to call the police department and let them know if there's any need. And there's also, once we become aware of the elevator down, there's an email list that goes out to stakeholders across campus so that we can make sure that students know, that faculty knows, and that the admin assistants in the different offices know, so that we can move classes when necessary. And we've just started introducing that, and we've seen some real good improvement for students not being, stuck downstairs or upstairs trying to get to class. So we'd just encourage students that if they're coming across an elevator with a sign, to make that phone call. It's likely that we know, but to make that phone call to say, I'm downstairs in CL1 and need access to upstairs, we'll work with them to make that happen.
All right, thank you.
I got a question. Paul, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I like to see this improvement in the accessibility and how people feel comfortable with it. For me, in my work history, we also found for at least staff at the places I worked at, that it was very, very important to make sure that procedures and documentation for everybody's work, not only those people that would fall under ADA, but none would, the documentation for their work and the description of the work and the task and how they're supposed to get it done was well documented in a manner that was available to as many people it could be, whether it's digitally or in print, or back in the old day, Braille and stuff like that. So what advancements or guidance are people doing throughout for the departments to make sure that all the procedures and job functions are documented in a manner for ADA and essentially non-ADA, classified folks?
And that's something that we partner with the HR department from the time that we hire a new employee until documenting their needs and making sure that when they disclose that they have a disability and they need a request for accommodation, they understand the process. They can submit a request for an accommodation to the HR department, and then they will go through the process of documenting their disability and coming up with a reasonable accommodation and getting it to them in a timely fashion. So we have a procedure for our employees that
documenting work procedures in advance of somebody's hire who may be subject to ADA or not ADA isn't necessarily requesting a response to their ADA response. You should already have it in place and anticipate what might be compliant, and then if it doesn't meet their needs, come up with something, but you need something to start off with, and I was just wondering where we were at on that.
Yeah, again, that's what we do. We proactively, under universal design, looking at the different needs. We have the self-evaluation plan, which I mentioned earlier, where we're proactively looking at classroom, parking spaces, buildings, to try to identify those areas of continuous improvement so that we can proactively address issues even before a person with a disability needs that accommodation. So what you're talking about, we do it in the context of our self-evaluation plan. And then once we identify all of those areas in need of improvement, we do prioritization where we start to address what those issues are so that we can provide those accommodations in advance. So let me give you an example. In the atrium, we did not have closed captioning. So now every time we host an event that has video, or even when someone uses a mic, we have the technology to have closed captioning even before, regardless of whether or not someone asks for that accommodations. And so we're going through a similar process with different areas across the campus to make sure that we're proactively looking at it even before they request it. So that would be within our self-evaluation plan.
I don't think I'm phrasing the question because you're not getting it right. I'm hired as a pencil sharpener here at the college, okay? What documentation do you have for that person in advance of the hire, whether they're ADA or non-ADA subject?
What I mean, we wouldn't know until they request that accommodation. So
I think you would need to have some type of procedure or documentation in place before you would even hire anybody for it. So that's where I'm kind of going, because you can't. You're going to create something after the fact when I think you should have it in place before the fact for everybody, and then on that create maybe a new document or digital or some other type of training for the person. So because in my world, we got to document everything, and I mean even real simple, what some people would consider simple things, but we do it, and then some people don't like text, some people need pictures, some people like videos or audio, and depending on a disability, any one of those may come into play. And then there's always repetition in terms of the training, but that's a little bit different. But so I was just wondering, campus-wide, how are we on just documenting just basic job procedures and tasks for employees and staff?
Heather, you want to answer that?
So in addition to, I know the board has been reviewing the board policy manual, but we also have administrative procedures, and then a layer under there would be our standard operating procedures that each division is working on developing and posting on the intranet. So For example, one of the job functions in my office is to create a particular report at a particular time of year. So there's a step-by-step documentation on how to do that. Similarly, like making a marketing request. You know, where do you go to find the form? How do you fill out the form? So we are collecting those and posting them on the intranet so that all employees can find them, even if you're not in that department, but certainly if you have to do that job.
And what she mentioned is one of the features within the self-evaluation plan. It's sort of our guide to proactively look at the accessibility needs of our stakeholders and then try to prioritize how we're going to provide those needs in advance of them asking for it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barnes. Thank you. Next item,
I got more questions now than I did.
RPS 205.
Good evening, trustees. When this agreement came before the board, the intention was for it to be signed for a duration of 2 years. That was in 2023. It was meant to last or expire in June 2025. Inadvertently, we didn't check, so it was both parties didn't check until recently and realized that it was only signed or made up for 1 year. So the intention is to have an extension done until June 2025. It's going to go to the RPS board first and then come to us as standard practice.
We just wanted to make sure you were aware of it, that it's coming in, so you can see it.
How many students are they going to commit to do this?
Right.
This IG is already in progress.
Pardon?
It's already in progress.
But do you know how many students
How many
currently?
students, though?
No, I'll have to get back to you on that.
100?
I'll have to get back to you.
10?
Well, it's $460,000, but the amount wasn't increased. But I still don't understand what we made a mistake and it really wasn't 2 years, or it was 2 years and it's going for another 2 years?
It's more of, what, a year and a half, I believe, and we're trying to expand
The
it to
intent-
2 years.
Trustee
Nelson.
Nelson was for it to be for 2 years. That's the intent when it was drawn up. So when it was drawn up, both parties, we didn't take a look at it and realize that it was only done until last year. So we still needed to go until 2025 because we have students enrolled in those programs. Those are CTE programs. But RPS students are enrolled in.
Okay, and did our esteemed council review this document? I didn't see anything on it.
It's going to the RPS board first and then coming to us.
So to answer the question, this is the original agreement with the only difference. So yes, the attorneys have reviewed it. It was the original agreement. The only difference now is that we changed the date to, instead of the agreement being done in December of 2024, agreement will be done in June of 2025. Only difference at this point in time would be the date extended by 1 semester.
The reason I mentioned the attorney review is I did not see that on the board report.
We didn't want to add it yet because we're going to make sure once they sign it, we're going to go through one more time to make sure nothing was changed on that agreement, and then when it comes back to the board in February, it will say attorney reviewed. At this point, it's just to give you a FYI.
Okay.
And Trustee
So we're
Trojan,
not going to vote on it?
No, sir.
No, we don't vote today anyway.
No, I know we don't vote today, but are we going to vote
Eventually we
later this
will.
month?
No, sir.
Okay.
Trustee Trojan, it's 40 students was the cap. Only 12 students they sent to us.
12?
Yes.
Wow.
Just this program. We have other programs
Yes.
with them. This is not all.
12.
Well, nobody necessarily wants to miss their senior year of high school, Bob. I mean, some kids would, but,
Yeah, okay.
you know, homecoming and all that, senior prom.
So is that in on 205 a topic? Okay, so then what do you got next? Trustee Gorski, Finance.
I called Ellen, talked about some of the stuff. I wasn't shocked by anything, so I don't expect to have too many questions. So there you go, Ellen.
Thank you.
I still have questions for you, though. So.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
2025 has been rough for Ellen so far. That's why I'm sitting here. I have a foot injury right now. So purchase report A is FY 2025 purchases. Item A is Miller Engineering for $700,150. This purchase is for construction services, filtration, and equipment for the paint booth for the collision repair program at the downtown West Campus. Bid 24-22-D06 was brought to the board on October 22nd, 2024 for the amount of $396,194, but that bid was rejected for not adhering to the college's responsible bidder ordinance requiring vendors to be registered with the U.S. Department of Labor Office Apprenticeship and Training. The rebid, which was bid number 24-30-D06, ran for 7 weeks. 164 vendors were notified. The college received 2 bids that were opened on December 20th, 2024, and this request does include a 10% contingency. Item B is Snyder Electric for $441,015. This is for the infrastructure upgrades to the security system for the support services building, Springbrook House, Building E, and Bell School. These 4 buildings will be the first to migrate from the Continuum system to Genetec. All other buildings will migrate at a later date. Schneider Electric will be providing the security equipment and installation that integrates with the existing system. This system includes a 10% contingency and was exempt from bid under Illinois state statute under Exemption A and under Exemption A. And this also includes a 10% contingency.
John?
I understand what the bid is for. My question is, what is the reason we're going from Continuum to Genetec or however you say it?
I see Mr. Jenks is ready to answer that question.
Continuum is obsolete. Parts are not available for the system anymore, so we had to upgrade to a new system. The police department conducted a analysis of the systems that we are going to upgrade to, and as part of that, Continuum recommended Genetec as the next generation. So basically, the old system is obsolete, and we need to upgrade to the new.
And so, is Continuum still in business? Are they updating to meet the competition, or we don't know, or what's the story on that?
Continuum is still in operation and is still functioning, but they end-of-lifed so Continuum is owned by Andover, and they end-of-lifed the Continuum software, the Continuum platform. Does that make sense?
It's a little better. So Andover owns Continuum. Who owns Genetec?
I don't know. I'd have to find out.
Okay. And, obviously we don't need to go out for bids. I understand that. But I just would like more background on why we're going to Genetec and who are the other players and the advantages and disadvantages of all. And I do note that it is a $440,000 bill not to exceed. But that's a lot of money not to know who the players are, in my opinion. So thank you.
Paul?
So Continuum's been end-of-lifed, or you're given a statement or an alert that it was end-of-lifed. What do the other vendor have a guaranteed support life cycle? Like how long will it be?
They do. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but like most, it's probably going to be in that 20-year range. That's usually what they run, but I can find out.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was just looking for at least, 10 to 15.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet. Because the issue, John, is a lot of technology. When a company buys it, they have a competing product or they're not interested in that business model anymore. They bought the company for another reason. So they send a note out to people saying, you can use it, but we're not going to offer support after 18 to 24 months or sometimes longer, just to give you time to bail and move to another solution. It sounds like what happened here. So, okay.
Yeah, so, and the reason we are sticking with Schneider and Genetech is because we have to still keep the old system running while we switch to the new system. Schneider can support both.
Both of them, yeah. And I've been in that position too, where you want to have a vendor that can do the old and the new while you work out the transition. So, okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
correct.
Okay, next item.
Okay, item C is for Ringland Johnson for $333,165.80. This expense is for the general contractor for the infrastructure upgrades for the security system of the same 4 buildings that I just mentioned previously. The general contractor will coordinate with Schneider Electric on the building renovations required related to the project. Bid 24-20, security infrastructure upgrades was posted for 6 weeks. 83 vendors were notified. The college received 1 submittal. This request includes a 10% contingency. Item D is to Stenstrom Construction Group for $2,272,600. This is for the build-out of the 3rd floor and 2nd elevator for the Health Sciences Center. Bid 24-23, HSC build-out and 2nd elevator received 4 submittals, and Stenstrom Construction Group was the lowest responsible bidder. This build-out of the unfinished area on the 3rd floor of HSC will create space for the massage therapy program, lab and classroom, the marketing department offices, collaboration space, a staff break room, a student lounge, a mother's room, a general neutral restroom, and printer and copier room. And the addition of the elevator on the northwest corner of the building will improve accessibility. This contract does include an extended maintenance agreement and is a not to exceed. Item.
John?
Yes. And as I recall, didn't we budget an amount for this remodeling of the 3rd floor, including the elevator?
Yes, sir.
And are we below budget, above budget? How did it turn out?
This bid came in under budget.
Okay. Can you tell me off the top of your head what our
I want to say we were at like 2.6 or 2.7, and it came in at about 2.2. We can get you the exact numbers.
That'd be nice. I'm curious.
It did come
I'm glad to hear that.
It did come in under budget. We were pleasantly
surprised.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item E is for McCann Industries for $139,900. This is for a used 2020 Case 621G wheel loader to be used for snow removal on campus. Currently, the college will rent a 5, 6, or 7 series wheel loader for snow removal during the snow months. That cost about $18,000 per year. This used 2020 wheel loader is a 6 series and is estimated to last between 20 to 25 years. This used equipment has 948 hours of use, which is considered low mileage, and includes a 1-year, 1,000-hour premier warranty. This is exempt for bid under Illinois state statute, exemption I, for purchases of equipment previously owned by some other entity besides the district itself. The last item here is
But we did go out for bids, right?
But we received quotes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Quotes.
And were they different years and all that kind of thing?
They were different years, different makes, and different models.
Okay.
Item F is atmosphere commercial interiors for $199,996.90. This is for 241 task chairs to replace the aging office chairs in the Stenstrom Student Center and the Support Services Building. Bid 24-28 task chairs for SSC and SSB sought to evaluate the college's long standard of steel case think chair and find a model that offered a body diverse option for accommodations and replace as many aging chairs as possible within the budget. Throughout the bid process, 25 models from 8 manufacturers were considered, and the steel case Leap and Leap Plus were determined to be the best fit for the college. Atmosphere Commercial and Interiors was the lowest responsible bidder. That concludes the purchase reports.
So the body diverse chairs, are they like the same price roughly, or is it like different prices for more?
There's 2 models, so one will be slightly more expensive than the other.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Did we go with the cheap or the expensive?
Nothing from steel case is cheap.
Are they comfortable?
Well, you know what I mean. All right, in other words, did we get the best, not just the best buy, but the equipment that'll last longer? Did we?
Yeah, I believe you're sitting on steel case right now from probably 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Just.
Okay, next item.
The next item is a communication services audit that we'd like to have approved. Rock Valley College would like to engage Spyglass Group LLC to perform an audit of its communication and technology vendors to identify billing errors, overcharges, redundancies, and inefficiencies. This would include voice, internet, data, cloud, and mobile. Spyglass only charges for the findings that the college chooses to act upon after the audit. Spyglass would be paid from the college's savings obtained through the audit's findings. Fees are as follows: 50% of any refund, credit, or compensation received by the college relating to past services or charges, 12 times any monthly cost reduction received by the college relating to cancellation of any service, and 12 times any monthly cost reduction received by the college relating to modification, consolidation, or negotiation of any service contract or account. These audit services are exempt from bid under the Illinois State Statute under Exemption A, contracts for services of individuals possessing a high degree of professional skill. Spyglass Group also part of the Omnia Partners Consortium, and they were awarded the consortium contract for telecommunication audit services. Any questions?
John?
Yes. Can you go over again who Spyglass Group LLC is?
Sure.
And you said somebody owns them. I've never heard of that company. Where did we get? I mean, where did these people come from? Were they a cold call on us also, or?
Spyglass has been around for a number of years, and I'm kind of familiar with them from my prior life, as well as my executive director of finance. The company she previously worked for had engaged them to do an audit as well. They did cold call us, and we've had some discussions with them. What they do is they look at some of our billings, our invoices for communications. They review them. They have the knowledge. They have the contacts. They have the expertise to look at them, audit them, identify where we have been overcharged, any redundancies, anything like that, and can result in future savings to the college.
Yeah.
So, follow up.
Follow up.
So this you want us to get this system because they're the ones that audit our placement essentially for ads?
No. They are here to audit our telephone bills, our internet services, our fiber lines, all those invoices that we get in and pay. They will audit them to see if we can reduce our cost for those services.
Well, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure after your last statement. And they're a division of one of the former Big Eight accounting firms, or who has this business? Who's behind them?
They're an LLC themselves.
Paul's got it. He knows.
This will address your follow-up. Spyglass is an independent company. They're a member of a consortium that does pre-bid guaranteed, well, not guaranteed, but pre-bid that meet bidding requirements. So even if we had to go out for bid and we pick Spyglass, they meet the bid requirements set forth by the state of Illinois. There's a couple different organizations like that, and Omnia is one of them. I'm ordering a group of some hardware from Omnia vendor tomorrow. Omnia's not their owner. It's a consortium that goes out, gets bids on a bunch of services and products, and if you're a member of the consortium, you get them at that price, and it meets the pre-bid requirement. Now, as I was discussing this with Ellen, there's a recent development that affects not only the college, but a bunch of other governmental bodies with increased fees and taxes and charges for internet, dark cloud, telecommunication, because the other vendor was acquired. An old vendor was acquired by a new vendor, and the new vendor started charging fees and costs that none of us think are fair. And Spyglass probably found out about it and came into the college and said, hey, we can help you lower those costs. And since it's kind of like the going after old students thing, we don't pay unless we actually see some savings. That sounds great to me, because they're taking the savings in the first 12 months, correct?
Correct.
And only the first 12 months.
Correct.
So that's actually be a pretty reasonable fee over the course of any contract or agreement that we have with the internet or telephone providers or something like that. And I'm anxiously awaiting the report. Send Spyglass to Lee County. I might be able to use them. I already found out some of my answers, so that some of those fees are legit. So we can talk about that offline.
Spyglass is, you're telling me
it's a service.
Mr. Chairman of the committee, that Spyglass is a respectable company and they do this kind of work.
I don't know if they're respectable, but they do this type of work.
Well,
you and I have different opinions of respectable across all course of things with other people, John.
Well, that's true.
They're a legitimate company.
They're a legitimate LLC that have done this and have gone through the vetting process for this pre-bid consortium, which gives them some measure of credibility. So.
Okay.
All right.
Next item.
The next item is the December 24 cash and investment report. Operating cash and investment increased $11.2 million to $97.8 million due to the transfer from the working cash fund of the $12.4 million as approved in December by the board. And this was partially offset by cash outflow due to operations. Working cash declined $12.4 million to $2.3 million due to that approved transfer to operations for reimbursement for the CDB trust established for CL2. Capital funds declined $11.6 million to $23.4 million due to an $11.4 million payment for debt service for the bond series 2022A and 2022B, as well as a CDB drawdown of $354,000. Any questions?
Yes, sir, John.
Ellen, so having said all that, after our interest payment, and that was, you said $11 million?
That was principal and interest.
Pardon me?
That was principal and interest.
Okay. All right. Are we in good financial shape then at the moment?
Absolutely.
You're sure about that?
I'm sure.
John, if you go to the chart on the back, you see a little graph.
Yeah.
When that number is up into the 80s or 90s, we're pretty well covered with our operating expenses.
Okay.
With the money we have. That chart is a key chart that I always look at. Well, and I know that Ellen keeps a tight string on the purse string.
Well, we want to make sure she does.
Oh, she does. I know that.
Well,
thank you.
Cash flow is all dependent on when you get the cash in, when you incur your expenses, though, Bob. So right now, people are paying some money, and we may have some expenses down the road. So.
Okay. All right, now we're going to move on to operations.
Yep, Rick Jinks will present the operations report.
Thank you, Trustee Kennedy. The first item in the operations section is the personnel report. As you can see, there's one position, the Executive Director of Assessment and Accreditation, that is being held as a line item. They are conducting interviews this week and hope to have an offer out for the next board meeting. In addition, we have 4 departures. We have an executive director, a dean, and 2 instructor positions. The intent on all of these positions is to replace them, and we have started the process to do that.
Yeah. There's no retirements. All 4 resigned.
Yes.
That, you know, or I know we don't talk about the personnel reports very often in detail, but that raises some concerns on my part, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay, next item.
Next item, I will have Dr. Huntley take over.
Good evening, trustees. I have the distinct honor and pleasure to be able to provide for you an HR progress update so we can talk through what's occurred from June to December of this past semester. Rock Valley College's Human Resources Department is comprised of 11 team members, and we work collaboratively and cross-train to ensure that all of our employees' needs are met. There are some areas of focus that we focus on, including talent acquisition, compensation, benefits and wellness, employee data analytics, professional development, employee relations, progressive discipline, collective bargaining agreements, and legal updates. All of these focuses are done in conjunction with other departments or areas of the college, so there is a collaborative effort across college to make sure that we are meeting employees' needs. One way that we do this is through a team approach, if you will, where our talent acquisition specialists, our business partners, and our generalists work in teams assigned to each campus division that work with a particular vice president to ensure that there's consistency and timely workflow and communication. This is important just to make sure that we are following consistent processes and standard operating procedures as mentioned previously in all of our processes. Human Resources also provides opportunities for growth and development each month. Some of these examples will include our new monthly hire orientation, supervisor trainings, which Supervisor 201 training is currently happening this month, and training mandated by federal and state compliance. Some of these trainings include our sexual harassment notifications to our employees and also mandatory reporting compliance. So we want to make sure that we are providing all that to all of our employees. In addition, Rock Valley College is proud to continue to offer benefits at a reasonable rate and to provide opportunities for wellness checks. One of these opportunities that we have mentioned previously has been our biometric screenings that we do annually in conjunction with RV Care. It provides the opportunity for our employees to receive a wellness check and also a flu shot during that time. So it's important to be able to help our employees throughout the year. Next slide, please. In addition, this semester, the Human Resources team really has been working on updating processes, and part of updating these processes has been making sure that we have appropriate documentation for our supervisors and for our employees to know those processes and how to be able to move forward. Some examples of this effort includes our opportunities to update the employee handbook, which was completed in September. In addition, we have worked with multiple departments to update our progressive discipline and supervisor support documents to ensure that our employees have all of the support they need to be successful in their roles and have growth opportunities as well. Another opportunity where we have seen this effort put into play is through our 30, 60, 90 onboarding documents. So within the first 90 days, new employees that are coming into campus have an opportunity to feel supported, to have regular check-ins so that they know what expectations are of them, but also to provide feedback in the event of opportunities where we can continually improve to provide a better experience for employees so that they stay. As you know, we have also been working on board policy manual revisions. And finally, the project that I'd like to mention that is currently in progress is our bloodborne pathogens compliance process. This is ensuring that for all of those positions that come in contact with bloodborne pathogens, that we are meeting OSHA mandates and making sure that they have received appropriate training and that we are collecting appropriate documentation to ensure the safety of our employees on the campus at large. Also, I am proud to say that in efforts to diversify our employee talent pool, Rock Valley College has expanded its resources to inform the community about wonderful employment opportunities that exist here. Just to name a few, we've been working closely with Indeed. We've also been working with specific job boards. So for example, like the police officer job board, our veterans job board that we have contact with, and actually attending job fairs for some of these specific entities. So as part of the intake process, we confirm with the hiring supervisor if there is a particular area that we can recruit or that we can utilize to be able to find talent and then pursue those opportunities. And we're always looking for more opportunities to be able to diversify as well. In efforts to continue to provide exceptional training opportunities, we are providing year-round professional development opportunities for our employees, but I think it's really important to note that this starts within HR. And so in addition to us providing opportunities for others, we take advantage of opportunities, including our talent acquisition specialists who have gone through advanced internet recruitment strategies training, or AIRS training, and 6 of our members are currently studying for the Society for Human Resource Management certification, better known as SHRM. And finally, I would just like to share with a great bit of pride that as an HR team, we're committed to modeling the importance of education and growth. And so 6 of our human resources team members have either completed, 3 of our members have completed advanced degrees, and the other 3 are working currently towards completing advanced degrees in human resources management or a related field.
Is this education online when they're doing degrees?
Depending upon the degree and the person attending, it's a combination of online and or face-to-face interactions. So for example, the degree that I completed was mostly online with like a 1-week intensive. So it depends on the school that they're attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the operations calendar. Similar to the academic calendar that Dr. Smith requested approval for, we will be also asking for approval of the operations calendar. The operations calendar was originally created in 2018. The basic difference between the academic calendar and the operations calendar is the academic calendar, when it is created, simply states the college will be closed from certain dates to certain dates, but it doesn't specifically point out some of the information that's valuable to CBAs and to the payroll department, which is the actual day of the holiday, and which days are holidays and which days are just campus closures. So the process is, once the academic calendar is set in place through the process that Dr. Smith explained earlier, we then go through, create the operations calendar so that individuals who need that information for the different CBA contracts has it. If there's no questions on the operations calendar, the last item is the facility events calendar. I want to point out a couple of items that have already occurred. One was the Faculty Development Day, which was on January 10th. It was a wonderful event that went over well, and I think everybody enjoyed it. We also had a nice turnout for the Rumble in the Rock basketball tournament that was advertised on TV. You may have seen it. That program went off without a hitch. Finally, on the 22nd of January, we will have a MLK, Martin Luther King Day celebration in the atrium at 11:30. And I just want to let you all know that February will be Black History Month, and we'll have some more information on that. And March is Women's History Month, so we'll have information coming up on those.
March Madness.
And yes, and March Madness.
John?
Yes, I heard today from one of my very good friends who's a office holder with the Winnebago County executives, and he told me that one of our best precinct committeemen, who on occasion takes many young, mostly African-American children to events such as the Harlem Globetrotters or Disney on Ice and that kind of thing, raises the money to do that. was asked by one of the young children, why do we have Monday off? And he said, well, he told them it's a Martin Luther King holiday. And they said, who's that? So I think we got a lot of work to do here. And I think the college may want to think about expanding their outreach on these kinds of things. As we know, at least 50% of the people in this country today get their news from Facebook, and education is not prioritized the way it used to be, and I think something needs to be done about it. So thank you for allowing me to comment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that it? Any other business, unfinished or new business?
Yes, sir. I will start with, since VP Jinks is already at the mic, I'll hand it over to him for at least two.
I have two items, yeah. One, I just want to get you up to speed on something that may be coming down through the system. It's for the ATC in Belvedere. We've been notified by the Illinois Department of Transportation that they will be redoing U.S. Business Route 20. Why is that important to Rock Valley College? U.S. Business Route 20 is the roadway that is, I guess it would be northwest of the Advanced Technology Center. The goal is they're going to redo the roadway and they're going to put in a walkway. The Illinois Department of Transportation is willing to pay for the walking path. That walking path will go from our Advanced Technology Center all the way around what U.S. Route 20 used to be called the E-By in Belvedere, all the way over to the area on the other side of Bypass 20 and U.S. Route 20, which is also where the physician's immediate care is, if you're familiar with Belvedere. So they're going to be doing that. One of the reasons they're getting us involved is they're looking at the different entities, which is the city of Belvedere, Boone County, Belvedere Township, Park District, and the school district to take ownership of one of the sections of the roadway. The goal is that the roadway or the walk path would be built by the state. It'd be built out of concrete, and the expectation is that we wouldn't have to do anything with the walkway until it needed to be redone in approximately 15 years. We would go into a collaboration with all of those government entities in Boone County so that there would be a nice walking path along the walkway that's available, because IDOT will take care of the road, but they will not maintain any of the walking paths that they put in. They need another entity to enter into an agreement to maintain that. Now, in this particular case, we will have no lights on the walkway. It will only be a summer path walkway, so we won't salt it, we won't brush it in the winter. It'll simply just be a pathway. For the first 15 years, none of the entities are expecting to have to put out any money to maintain the pathway. Simply what they would do is probably in 15 to 20 years, depending on how the pathway is working, the entities would get together and go out for a bid to resurface the pathway. And so that's basically what they're looking for. We are still working out the details, but I at least wanted to make you aware that this is in the works.
Yes, sir, Paul? And John.
I'm assuming since you're talking about a path being built on property we own, but really the right-of-way.
It's the right-of-way
that they have, so middle of the road. And so typically they wouldn't maintain, nobody would maintain, a village and the city wouldn't maintain it. If they put the sidewalk in, they're still not going to maintain it. You have to maintain it. And you're saying that we don't have to take care of it in the winter?
No, because it would be closed during the winter.
You would actually close it?
All you have to do is post that the walkway is closed, is what they've explained to me. So
okay.
We do brush our pathways here. I'm not anticipating doing that, nor do any of the other government entities in Belvedere plan on doing that.
Because I know some villages and cities, if you have a paved walkway and you're right away, you're responsible for maintaining it and keeping it shoveled even in the winter. So they're saying there's an exception to the rule to that, or I would get not only from IDOT, I would get it from Belvedere, from the city, and just make sure that you got that in writing. So,
well, they're part of the agreement, and they're the ones that were telling me that's how we were going to do it. So I'm assuming they're okay with it.
Okay.
John, you had a question?
This is an obvious question, I think, but you can assure us that the residents of the area are much in favor of this walking path, or no?
From what I'm hearing from the entities that live and work in Boone County, yes, they are in favor of it.
All right.
Does this connect with another walkway that's already in existence?
There is a sort of a walkway that runs down past the Advanced Technology Center, so we will tie in. So on the opposite side of the street as the Advanced Technology Center on, no, it's not State, it's the one that runs, anyway, the road that runs next to the Advanced Technology Center, there is a walkway that goes down and connects to the backside of the Park District soccer fields.
So this new one will connect with the one that exists already?
Correct.
That's the idea then, is to make a big...
Yeah, and it'll loop around to the other side of the city.
And she may be here in 15 years, but I don't think I will.
I won't.
So did you say that they won't build it unless all of these entities agree to take care of it?
That is correct.
Okay, and then are they saying like equally take care of it, or is it going to be percentages depending upon the size of,
It's really where it lands. So our area would consist of between the road I can't think of, Beloit Road basically, and Route 76 would be ours. It's about a mile.
So, okay.
The city is going to be about, the city's going to have a couple of miles.
Okay.
Park District's going to have a couple of miles. So they're kind of splitting it up with the close proximity to where that particular government body is. So like in front of, what is that, Lincoln School? I don't know. Whatever, yeah, I think it's Lincoln School. The school district is going to be responsible for that. There's another area where the township, another area where the county, another area that's all city.
Okay.
Paul?
And this goes back to Dr. Barnes' discussion earlier. Will this walkway enhance or modify in any way ADA accessibility to our property?
ADA, no. Accessibility, it will allow people to walk to our facility if they want, or ride a bike.
Okay.
But as far as ADA, I don't think anybody who has the major ADA concerns would be coming from this pathway.
Okay, like, will the walkway cross an entrance or anything where it'll need a ramp,
So what we're asking for is on the side that is closest to the ATC, we're asking for them to extend the sidewalk all the way out to this pathway. And then the pathway could also cross the street and connect with the other pathway. So they would create a walking path for us from that pathway down to the Advanced Technology Center. Yes, it would meet all the ADA requirements. It would it would fall within those.
Yeah, just as long
guidelines.
as whenever it reached a curb or an edge that needed an adjustment, not just a curb, but then a ramp.
Yeah, it would have a ramp with the tactile warning for those who need it. All those. I mean, it's the state. They're going to do all the things that they need to do, and we'll make sure they do.
I know the state screwed up on 2 projects. So.
Okay, well, maybe next month you can bring us a map. Anything else, Dr. Spearman?
Are you done?
The only other thing you wanted me to mention was the March 27th date for the ribbon cutting for downtown.
27th or 23rd?
I have the 27th, which
Thursday, March
March 27th.
What time?
Yeah, 2/7.
7. That's the
27.
groundbreaking.
So save the date, time to be
We don't have the exact time. Okay, yeah. The time will be determined. So
Okay.
those are the two items I had.
Anything else?
You'll keep us posted on the details.
2 or 3.
For the downtown? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yes. Two things. One, at the beginning of this year, we lost one of our employees, Arnie Zorita, and he really worked a lot around here and helped out preparing for board meetings and breaking down. So keep his family in your thoughts and prayers. HR has reached out to the family and have met with them to help them with their benefits and things of that nature. And we were able to attend his funeral, which was well attended, and I believe about 20 or so employees, POM and others, that attended to pay their respects in Elmwood, Illinois. So this doesn't occur often, thankfully, but it was nice to see how we responded to this unexpected situation. So please keep the Zorita family in your prayers and thoughts, and I appreciate and thank you for that. I want to end on a positive because that's typically what I do. And we have a Rockford Promise NIU agreement that's coming down the pathway. We're going to do a press conference. NIU has agreed to work with those students who are Rockford Promise students that started at Rock Valley College, can transfer to NIU and go tuition free. And that includes our 2+2 with NIU, our engineering agreement as well. So students who go through Rockford Promise, start at Rock Valley College, decides to stay here for year 3 and 4 for the engineering program, will also have their tuition covered through, and this is not through Rockford Promise or RPS or the City of Rockford. This agreement is through Northern Illinois University, which is committing to covering the cost of that tuition through other funding sources that they have. So we'll be doing a press conference. Right now, we believe it would be on Tuesday the 21st at 1 p.m. You're more than welcome to attend. Our goal is to have it in the lounge of WTC. Is that still correct?
The entrance.
And so myself, the hope is that myself, the executive director of Rockford Promise, and the president of NIU will be in attendance as a more of a ceremonial signing agreement.
Did you say the time?
1 p.m.
Tentative.
Tentatively at 1 p.m. We'll confirm that date in the email once they have confirmed it, but want to give you a heads up now.
What day?
Next Tuesday, 1 p.m.
21st.
21st, this month, 1 p.m., WTC Lounge. And that will conclude my updates or unfinished and new business.
And that agreement doesn't need board approval?
No, there's no dollar amount being assigned to us or impact at this point in time. So if there was more of a financial agreement, then we would do more of the board approval.
Okay.
Seems like a good building step along with the engineering program that's already in place. So, I mean, it's now expanded to other curriculum.
I'm hoping that it actually helps.
Yeah,
to
it should help us.
Build back up the NIU, the 2+2 engineering agreement.
Yeah.
Bob, it's without anything in writing, sometimes these things don't work out, but, we'll go to it.
Right, is there an agreement? I mean...
Yes, there's an MOU. Oh, and the MOU was attorney reviewed as well. And so, yes, there's an MOU that we can share out.
So it doesn't affect us financially, but it's a policy decision that we're not get to see before it's signed.
Well, remember, this is more of a 2+2 agreement. We do 2+2 agreements all the time.
Okay.
With four-year institutions. And so this is more of a 2+2 agreement that they're saying that they're really, that our students, after they earn a degree, can transfer to their institution and not pay any money. So yes, this is a 2+2.
Well, they can do that now. The only thing now is they get free money from Rockford Promise
Yeah.
to continue on.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
no brainer. Okay, I think we have a closed session, so can we have a motion, Mr. Secretary?
I move to adjourn to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as an independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting per Section 2C1. Litigation has been filed as pending or probable per Section 2C11, all in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
Second.
Roll call.
Gorski.
Paul?
No.
Gorski, no.
No.
Nelson.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Michaels.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Trojan.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Okay. Everybody out except whoever you need?
The only person that will stay in will be Attorney Christopher Gordon.
And Dr. Spearman has one more announcement to make.
Yes, I wanted just to make sure that we understand that the videos, I want to apologize, we thought we were going to send the videos out for the board retreat, which is Saturday, January 25th at 8 a.m. So we sent the videos out right before the meeting, about 4 or 5 o'clock today. Please review those videos. Try to submit, originally we said by Friday, but since we're late, if you can submit your questions by Monday of next week, this coming Monday, that would help us. So what we try to do is answer all your questions during the board retreat, and then we use a FAQ and we share those answers at our State of the College with the overall campus. So board retreat is on the 25th. You'll return your questions on January 20th to Ann Kerwitz, and then we'll compile that and make sure we have an answer for you prepared at the retreat.
So I did not receive it yet by email.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got it?
I don't know if I have or not, but I have found the ones in the past years, informative, constructive, great aid.
Thank you.
Get it out of the way in advance and get the list of questions to you, so.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
So I was like, oh.
It's on your agenda.
Bob, you did say we took no action in closed session.
We took no action in closed session. Thank you, John. Okay, the next Board of Trustees retreat will be on January 25th, 8 o'clock, will be held at Woodward Technology Center, room 1308 on the main campus. Next regular Board of Trustee meeting, January 28th at 5:15. The meeting will be held in the PAR room 0214 in the ERC on the main campus. Next Committee of the Whole meeting, February 11th, 2025, 5:15. Meeting will be held in the PAR room in the Educational Resource Center in the main campus. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Nelson, Nichol. Roll call. We need a roll call, I guess.
Gorski.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Michaels.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Trojan.
Yes.
We're done.
Happy days.
Hey, Janet? Yes? Send our thank